What's going on, you guys? Tyler, your Wandering Therapist here on a beautiful Saturday morning, out running my dog again up here in the mountains, and I was just taking a look at the scenery around me and just thinking, man, how awesome it is that I live in a place and that we live in a place where we get to enjoy the beauties that are around us and what nature has to offer us. And I was just looking at these trees and marveling at all of the different vast number of colors that you can see right now in my background as these trees begin to prepare themselves for the winter. And just thinking about how beautiful it is when you go for a drive up the canyon, or when you get out and the leaves start to change and the light starts to reflect off of the leaves, and you can see all of these different shades, and the illumination just adds such beauty and vibrance to living, and just really kind of brightens your day. But I was thinking a little bit further about what causes the leaves to change and why they change, and how there's almost a little bit of a paradox in the fact that it's amazingly beautiful and vibrant and colorful at the same time, that the reason why they're beautiful and vibrant and colorful is because they're changing, they're actually dying and getting ready to fall off of the trees. And then I started to think a little bit further about why they do that. You know, why would the leaves need to fall during the winter time instead of just continue to manufacture the energy that the tree needs all year? Because the leaves are actually what produces a lot of the energy. And it makes sense when you really think about it that when the winter comes, it's going to be, number one, it's going to be a lot colder, which takes a lot more energy to survive, but it's also going to be darker, and there's not going to be as much need or ability to sustain all of those leaves that are on the tree in order to keep producing energy, because ultimately they'll be able to produce less energy than it's going to take to conserve all of the leaves. And so this tree has this beautiful system built in where every year it learns how to simplify its life. It learns how to shrink down the things that are going to be non-essential and non-important, and it allows itself to live through the winter by simplifying its life. And I think that's such a beautiful metaphor for us as human beings. I want to challenge you guys to think about what in your life is actually maybe not essential or not necessary, or might even be causing you an extra burden because whatever you think it's supposed to be producing for you isn't actually producing for you. Whether that's something that's financial, are we carrying extra debts that aren't going to be helpful for us in the long run? I was talking to a client this week where he was talking about how strapped he is for money and how much stress and pressure it's putting on his life and on his marriage. And we started to go through what some of his expenses were, and he has a boat that's worth $80,000, and that boat he's paying $500 a month on it on a payment. And when I asked him how often he used it, he said he used it 8 times last year. And he said if he sold it, he'd have $40,000 in equity that he could pay off. He has $38,000 of consumer debt. And it wasn't registering in his mind that simply selling his boat, which if you think about it, he's paying $500 a month on a boat payment to go 8 times a year, so he's paying $900 per outing for his boat, plus the gas, plus the travel, plus everything else. If he were to go boating 8 times and just rent a boat at the lake that they go to, he'd be way better off financially. He could still have the fun that he does with his family, and his life would be much simpler because he wouldn't have to worry about getting his boat to the place where it needs to go to be winterized. He wouldn't have to pay for maintenance. He wouldn't have to drive it up and down the canyon. He wouldn't have to do a lot of the things that come with having to own the boat. And in some ways, cutting that leaf, so to speak, would produce way less pressure and stress in his life. What about relationships? Are there certain relationships that we're dumping a ton of energy into that aren't producing the results that we're looking for? Are you in a relationship where you're the one putting out all of the phone calls to maintain the relationship, where you're the one that's always giving in whenever there's a conflict and feel like you're a doormat? And think about the pressure and the stress that that's causing in your own life, on your own physical body and your own physical organism, and what the price is that you might be paying for the potential benefit that could be happening in your life. I just finished reading a book not too long ago called Essentialism that talks about the power and benefit of bringing things down in our lives to the things that really just make the most difference, that are really the most important, and being okay with letting some of the other stuff basically shrivel and die off, so that you can just enjoy the things that are actually really giving you the best benefit in your life. You know, in my own life, there's certain things. I'm struggling right now with, I'm a workaholic, and I work a lot of jobs and a lot of hours, and it's coming to my attention that I probably work a little bit too much at one of my jobs. And I'm really, really scared to let it go, because it's been something that's been consistent in my life for a really, really long time. But it's finally coming to my recognition that that season for that job is coming to an end, and that it's going to be better for me in the long run, even though it'll be scary and painful, because, you know, the winter trees don't look all that beautiful when they lose their leaves, but they're able to survive and eventually ultimately thrive when the next season comes around. That's kind of where I'm at with this job that I need to let go. So what are the things in your life that may have been beautiful for a time, that may have actually produced something beneficial, that may not be producing what they're supposed to be now, or they might be not quite worth the cost? See if you can take an inventory of those things in your life and start making a few cuts, and see if that actual principle of simplification could actually increase the quality of your own life. You guys have an awesome day. Thank you so much for being here with me. If you found this to be valuable for you, please hit the like and subscribe button. If you're facing particular struggles that you need help with, or roadblocks that you're running into, please submit a question. I'd be happy to answer it for you.